As runners, we're always looking for ways to run faster and for ways to run longer. But how about we put the two together and try to run faster for longer? For instance, you may be able to run fast for about a kilometer or two, but how about we try and extend that out a little bit further to 5K, 10K, or maybe even more? All right, every runner has been there. You start out with a comfortable yet challenging pace, but a few miles in, that pace suddenly becomes a real struggle. And before long, your pace is all over the place. You feel exhausted and you're hanging in for dear life. I'd hazard a guess that sounds quite familiar for you. So let's get stuck right in with some ways to help that and improve it with some speed interval training. I know this sounds relatively obvious, and it is. If you want to run faster, you need to actually practice running faster. And by breaking it down into smaller, more manageable chunks, it means that you can run at these higher speeds for a shorter period of time, yet still gaining that neuromuscular benefit. And before you scoff at this is still beneficial for longer distances too, such as marathons. Now, the idea with the speed intervals is that you get better at running faster over these short distances, and with time, hopefully get faster and faster, and maybe even start increasing the rep lengths too. So for instance, you might start out with reps of just 20 to 30 seconds at this high pace with around 40 seconds recovery, and with time, you might be able to build up to the good old classic 1K repeats where you're almost holding that same pace that you started out with. And now moving on to another workout, the tempo run. This requires you to run at a comfortably hard pace for a sustained period of time. It's around 85 to 90% of your maximum heart rate and around a 7 to 8 out of 10 in terms of intensity level. You may find that you're able to say a few words whilst running at this pace, but that's about it. Now, the idea behind the tempo run is basically to help raise your lactate threshold, the nasty stuff that essentially slows you down if you start to produce it at such a rate that your body can't remove it. So the speed intervals that we talked about before help you to run faster, and then the tempo runs help to raise that lactate threshold and delay the onset of lactic acid until higher speed. So it's the perfect mix to help you to run faster for longer. And if you'd like to find out a little bit more on the tempo runs with some session examples, we actually have a recent video on that, which you'll find the link to in the description below. Strength work is also a key tool for helping you to run faster for longer. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you need to be throwing weights around the gym, but a level of focus on some main areas will drastically help. And in particular, I'd suggest the core, the hips, and the glutes. Now, the core pretty much holds the body together and improves its efficiency. If you imagine trying to use a hammer that's floppy and bendy in the middle, well, it's just not going to be able to produce and be able to deliver as much power and force as it should do. And the body's pretty much the same. If your core's bending and moving around, then there's going to be a significant loss of power and energy. And for many people, as they start to fatigue whilst running, it's obviously their legs that go first, but commonly we see this swaying hip motion as they start to drop from side to side. Again, this is inefficiency. Rather than energy simply going into moving us forwards, it's being lost in this side motion. And then we've got the glutes. This is the largest muscle on the body, yet amazingly, it is the least used, but when they're firing and working well, these can really help to prevent inefficiencies and loss of energy. Of course, there are plenty of other exercise and areas that you can focus on in the gym and improve strength in, but I would, from my personal experience, say that these are the key areas that you want to focus on. If you'd like any advice and any exercise that you should follow, well, we actually have a video on that as well, so you can find the link for that in the description below. And now it's time to do some maths and work out your pacing. I know this is another very obvious tip, but I feel it's needed given how many people clearly don't do it. Now, if you really do want to run faster for longer, then setting off at an unrealistic pace very rarely comes back with a better performance and faster time when compared with one that has been well paced. Trust me, I have tried all different methods. So if you do have a particular run or race in mind and you've got a target time in mind, make sure that that's realistic, but then just work out the pace per mile, per kilometer from that. And if you want some help, you can actually find some online calculators that can do this for you. Now, actually, the hardest part is holding yourself back at the start of the run. Naturally, you will be excited, pumped full of adrenaline, and just want to go off hard. And you do want to use that to a degree. So what I often suggest is cap it around 5% faster than your target pace for that first half a kilometre before you do too much damage, and then start to settle it down to that target pace as soon as you possibly can. Then around halfway into the race, think about trying to lift the pace. What probably will end up happening is you just sustain and carry on with your target pace, but the effort is there and it means you come back with a well-paced run. Of course, we've spoken a lot today about the running faster part, but not so much about the running longer part. So jumping back to the training, we can't forget the good old long run. Now, typically these are performed just once a week as an opportunity to build endurance and distance. And it's as simple as that, really. Time on the feet without necessarily having to run hard all of the time. Now, we always work on the premise of adding no more than 10% week in, week out in terms of the duration or the distance. And to be honest, the long run is a big topic in itself. So you've probably guessed it. Yes, we do have a video on that already. So I'll pop the link for that in the description just down below. Do make sure you go and check those out after, because they're full of a lot more information to add to this video. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, give it a like. Don't forget to head on over to our GTN social media channels, give them a follow and give us a subscribe just down below.